The town of Redemption sat like a festering sore on the parched earth, its crumbling buildings seeming to lean in, as if to whisper secrets to one another. The air reeked of decay and desperation, heavy with the stench of last night's whiskey and stale cigarettes. It was a place where hope went to wither and die, where the damned and the forgotten gathered to wallow in their own miseries. Cable Delacroix, a man with a face like worn leather and eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 midnights, stood at the edge of town, his boots kicking up small clouds of dust as he surveyed the desolate landscape. He was a man of few words and fewer friends, a drifter with a reputation for being able to find things that didn't want to be found. This time, it was a girl, Emily Wilson, 17 years old, last seen stumbling out of the local watering hole, the Rusty Nail, with a stranger who wore a smile like a snake's kiss. Cable's eyes narrowed as he scanned the street, his gaze lingering on the faded sign creaking in the wind, the words, "Welcome to Redemption," flapping desperately, like a bird with a broken wing. He'd been here before, in this town that seemed to thrive on suffering. He knew its rhythms, its secrets, and its devils. As he walked, the silence was broken only by the soft crunch of gravel beneath his boots and the distant hum of a mournful harmonica. It was a sound that made Cable's skin crawl, a sound that spoke of darkness and regret. The harmonica's melancholy wail seemed to follow Cable as he made his way down the main street, past the shuttered storefronts and the hollow-eyed faces that watched him from the shadows. He'd been in town for less than an hour, but already he'd gathered a small crowd of followers, the kind of folk who'd sell their souls for a bottle of cheap liquor and a whisper of hope. Cable's eyes locked onto the rusty facade of the Rusty Nail, the only joint in town that still poured a drink without asking too many questions. It was where he'd find the answers, where the whispers of Emily's disappearance would lead him to the stranger with the serpent's smile. Inside, the air was heavy with smoke and desperation, the patrons a gathering of broken dreams and shattered hopes. Cable's gaze swept the room, his eyes adjusting to the dim light, until they landed on a figure huddled in the corner, face hidden behind a mask of tangled hair. The harmonica's mournful cry grew louder, the notes twisting into a low, mournful moan as Cable crossed the room, his boots scraping against the scarred wooden floorboards. The figure looked up, eyes like two black holes staring back, and for an instant, Cable felt the weight of the town's darkness settle onto his shoulders. "You're the one who's been asking questions?" the figure whispered, voice like a rusty gate. As Cable slid into the booth, his hand resting on the grip of his holstered pistol. "You're looking for the girl." The figure's eyes seemed to bore into Cable's very soul, as if searching for some hidden weakness, some crack in the armor that would allow the darkness to seep in. Cable's face remained impassive, a mask of rough-hewn skin and scar tissue, but his gut tightened, sensing that he was dancing on the edge of something sinister. "What do you know about Emily?" Cable's voice was low, even, a gentle prod to coax the truth from the mysterious figure. The figure's gaze faltered, and for an instant, Cable glimpsed something ancient, something evil, lurking just beneath the surface. Then, the mask of tangled hair fell back into place, and the figure's voice dripped with honey-sweet malice. "I know she was looking for something, same as you, something that'd make her forget the pain and the hurt. You know how it is, Cable, we've all got our demons, and sometimes they get too loud, too hungry. She found it, and then she found him." Cable's hand tightened around his pistol grip, his mind racing with the implications. "Him?" he echoed, the single syllable a warning. The figure's smile was a cruel, cruel thing, a slash of lip and teeth that seemed to split the very fabric of reality. The man with the smiling face, the one who comes with the night and brings the darkness with him. As the figure spoke, the harmonica's wail grew louder, the notes twisting into a maddening chant that seemed to seep into Cable's very bones. The air in the room began to thicken, heavy with an unspoken malevolence, and Cable knew that he was running out of time. "Where is he?" Cable's voice was a low growl, his eyes locked on the figure with an unblinking intensity. The figure's smile grew wider, the sound of the harmonica reaching a fever pitch as it replied, "Oh, he's waiting for you, Cable. He's waiting for you with Emily by his side." The figure's laughter was a dry, mirthless sound, like the rustling of dry leaves, as Cable's hand closed around the pistol grip, his finger tightening on the trigger. The darkness in the room seemed to coalesce, taking on a life of its own, as the harmonica's wail reached a deafening crescendo. Suddenly, the music stopped, the silence that followed like a palpable blow. Cable's eyes never left the figure, his gaze boring into the tangled hair, searching for some sign of weakness, some crack in the armor. "You're playing with fire, Cable," the figure whispered, the voice like a sigh on the wind. "You don't know what you're dealing with. He's not a man, not really. He's a doorway, a portal to the other side." Cable's finger relaxed on the trigger, his mind reeling with the implications. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice low even. The figure leaned forward, the hair parting like a curtain, revealing eyes that burned with an otherworldly intensity. "He's the keeper of the crossroads, Cable. He's the one who'll grant your deepest desires, but at a price that'll damn your soul forever." The air in the room seemed to vibrate with an unholy energy, as if the very fabric of reality was torn asunder, revealing a glimpse of the abyss. Cable's gut twisted, his mind racing with the horrors that lurked beyond the veil. "Where do I find him?" Cable's voice was a low, deadly promise, his hand tightening around the pistol grip. The figure's smile was a ghastly, sepulchral thing, its eyes glinting with a malevolent light. "You'll find him at the crossroads, Cable. At midnight, when the wind whispers secrets to the damned." As the figure spoke, the shadows in the room seemed to deepen, the darkness coalescing into a living, breathing entity that wrapped itself around Cable's ankles, pulling him down, down, down into the abyss. Cable's eyes locked onto the figure, his gaze burning with an unspoken fury. As the room around him began to dissolve, the shadows swirling like a dark vortex, pulling him towards the abyss. The figure's laughter echoed in his mind, a maddening chant that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the damned. As the darkness wrapped around him, Cable felt the weight of the town's secrets crushing down upon him. The whispers of the forgotten, the screams of the damned, and the wails of the lost. He knew that he was being pulled towards the edge of the abyss, towards the crossroads where the keeper of the crossroads waited. With a snarl, Cable shook off the darkness, his hand closing around the pistol grip like a lifeline. He pushed himself to his feet, the room around him snapping back into focus, the shadows retreating like a dark tide. The figure was gone, vanished into the smoke and mirrors of its own making. Cable's eyes swept the room, searching for any sign of the mysterious figure, but it was gone, leaving behind only the echoes of its mad laughter and the whispered secrets of the damned. Cable's gaze locked onto the clock above the bar, the hands ticking away with a maddening slowness. Midnight was coming, and with it, the keeper of the crossroads. He knew that he had to be there, to face the darkness head-on, and claim back Emily Wilson from the clutches of the damned. With a growl, Cable pushed out of the rusty nail, into the dusty, despair-filled streets of redemption, the wind whispering secrets in his ear as he walked towards the crossroads and the keeper of the damned. The moon hung low in the sky, a silver crescent casting an eerie glow over the deserted streets of redemption. Cable walked alone, the only sound being the crunch of gravel beneath his boots, as he made his way towards the crossroads. The wind whispered secrets in his ear, its sighs and moans taking on a mournful quality, like the lamentations of the damned. As he approached the crossroads, a figure materialized out of the darkness, its presence like a cold draft on a winter's night. The keeper of the crossroads stood tall, its face a death's mask, eyes aglow with an otherworldly energy. Cable's hand rested on the grip of his pistol, his finger tightening on the trigger as he faced the keeper. The air was heavy with an unholy presence, the wind dying down, as if the very fabric of reality was holding its breath. "Welcome, Cable." The keeper's voice was like the rustling of dry leaves, its tone a low, menacing whisper. "I've been waiting for you. You seek the girl, Emily Wilson. I can give her to you, but at a price." Cable's eyes narrowed, his gaze locked onto the keeper's face. "What do you want?" he growled, his voice low even. The keeper's smile was a grotesque, inhuman thing, its lips curling upwards like a reptile's. I want your soul, Cable, your soul, and the souls of all those who dare to cross the crossroads. The wind began to pick up, whispers growing louder, as the darkness seemed to coalesce around Cable, the shadows closing in like a living, breathing entity.